Hello everyone, this is Damon with PickSnub Software. In this video I'm going to be discussing a new dynamic wrestling template that I just released. This template comes with a bunch of different actions to allow you to change the color schemes with just a few clicks. And it also allows you to add this blur effect to the font with just one click. So to start, I'm going to go in and delete the font blur layer because I'm going to come back to that after I demonstrate the colors. Now there's 5 different colors you can change, and that is the team name, the year, the flare behind the player, and then both colors on the wrestling mat. So I'll just demonstrate one at a time. I'm just going to select some random colors here so we can see 5 different colors in the template. So we've got red for the center of the mat. Let's give it, I don't know, purple on the outside of the mat. Blue on the team name, orange on the year, and then let's give it gold in the background. This is not a color combination you would probably ever use for anything, but just to show you that you do have individual control of all 5 colors. And of course you'd pick the colors to mix and match for your specific teams. Now I did include 4 examples here of actions that set the entire color schemes, and these are very simple to create, and I'll show you at the end of the video how to create these. But for example, USA, if I click the play here, it's going to make the red, white, and blue scheme. Gators, this will give us the Florida Gators colors. Hawkeyes, we've got Iowa State Hawkeyes colors. Comets, and that's just something to match this uniform. And these are just generic examples I just put in here just so you could see how the actions are set up. And you'll want to make your own for your own color teams. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But before that, I want to discuss the that blur effect that was on the text that I showed at the beginning of the video. Now that is done with an action. And you'll first want to set the name of the team and the color before you add the blur effect. So it's called blur team name. So you just hit play on that action. And then it's going to give a blur effect that's set to a radial blur that matches the flare behind it for the same angle for the flare rays. And let me change the name of the team here. I'll change the name and the color just so you can see what I was talking about, to where you'd want to set the name and the color first. So obviously you would need to scale this, but you can see that the blur behind it doesn't match these individual letters. And then if I was to use a different color for the team name, so you see now the blur and the color both don't match. So that's why I say you set that first. So let's set the team name to something that, actually let's scale this here. Now of course if you were running the sports photo automation plugin, you could have this do the scaling as part of your batch. But if you're doing it manually, you'll have to scale the name of your team here. So once you have that, before you run the blur action, you need to make sure you don't already have a blur layer in there, which we do, so I'm going to erase that or delete that. And then I'll come in here and run the action. So you see that's now the correct color and the letters match the team name. And by the way, if you're running sports photo automation, I'm going to click that while we're at this topic. You can run these actions as part of your CSV file. And if you do so, you can run that blur team name action. But if you are also changing the colors of your teams, do those first. You can run up to 10 actions with headers post action 1, post action 2, all the way up to 10. But run the blur action last, because it's going to first replace the team name, and then if you run your colors action, it will run that action after it's done the text replacement, and then your last action would be the action to blur. And that way you get the blur with the proper team name and the proper color. The next thing on this team name blur, I included this delete all blur layers, and it says will error when done, and I'll demonstrate why here in just a second. But first I'm going to show you what would happen if you tried to create another blur layer and you already have one. If you hit play, it's going to get to a point and it's going to throw an error. That's because now the action created a new group called team name blur, and you've already got a layer called team name blur. And this confuses Photoshop because you've got two with the identical name. And that's why you always need to make sure you delete that blur before you start. Now if you run into a situation like this, because I know some users will do this and they'll try again. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. That's whenever you start running the action, by the way, you have to start with it on the top. If the action ever errors and it's on a step and you try to hit play, it's going to try to run from that step in the action. So select the action name. So if you get to a point when all of a sudden you realize, okay, I'm trying to run this and I keep running it and it's not working, well, that's because you've already got these names called team name blur. If you run this action that says delete all blur layers, that's going to get rid of all of them, and then it's going to throw an error. And this error on this, why it says will error when done, well, that is because I built in for it to select team name blur 10 times and delete it. That way if the user is running along and they try the action a couple of times and they create those redundant layers, this will get rid of them all until there's none left, and then it will eventually error, because if it gets rid of 3 and then there's no group or layer called team name blur, the 4th time it's going to throw an error because there's no more left to delete, if that makes sense, I hope. But if you do this right, you never have to worry about that. So let's run the team name blur. I'll run through this one more time here. So you've got this in here. Now let's say you change your team name. And you change the team name color. And of course you would scale this as well. But after you scale that, before you run this action, you can run this delete all blur layers first, or you can just come in here and it's not the one under the group, it's the one called team name blur. If you delete that, and then you can go ahead and run your blur on your new team name. Okay, I've kind of kicked that dead horse around a little too long here, so let's just move on. I'm going to go back into my history and try to get back to the original template here. Okay, I think this is it here. This is back to the default state. So now I'm going to discuss creating a custom team example. And this is so easy. What I recommend doing before you actually create the action is figure out what colors you want, and then it'll make it easy when you go to create your action. So let's just make this, I don't know, purple and gold. Let's say we're going to do a Washington Huskies. I'm just picking a random team here, so let's make it purple and gold. So let's give it the, actually I think I want the gold in the center. Purple on the outside. I've not tried this color combination yet, so I'm just trying to figure out what would look best here. Let's give both of these fonts purple. Then where are we at here? Okay, team name. Okay, we'll just call that good here. So let's say that's our University of Washington Huskies colors. So now that we know the colors that we want and you have them set on your template, that makes it, and then don't pay attention either to this blur, because like I say, that blur is going to, you do that after you set the colors, but that's not going to be recorded in this action. So anyways, we go to our actions. Let's hit new action here. We'll call this Huskies. And now since we've got the template with the colors we want, it's really easy to remember what we're going to do. So I'll just start at the top and work my way down. So matte center, we wanted gold. We hit play. And so we're recording the actions Huskies, and we played the first action, so it records that into this action. So now the matte on the outer, we want purple. So hit play on that. And then the both the text, we want purple, so we'll go team name purple, year purple, and flare we did gold. Then I can hit stop on my action, and that's it. You've got all 5 of those actions recorded into your custom team action. So now let's play one of the others and then retry that Husky action here. Okay, we're set up for the USA colors. And now we have our Huskies action. If we hit play, it should. And it did. So we've got our purple and gold scheme that we just set up. And once you have all your actions set up, I do recommend too going up to your main actions folder and then hit save actions. And that way you don't ever accidentally delete those and lose those. You'll have those actions with the teams that you created. Anyway, really, really simple. I hope this all makes sense in the video. I've also got another video. I don't have it yet, but I will within the next few days after making this video. I have a set of videos for how to actually go in and create and edit actions for the dynamic templates. And I've got several templates I've done for that series of videos. I'm adding this template as the next template for that series of videos because this one does use the actions a little bit differently than some of my other templates do. And if you've watched those other videos, you'll know that I mentioned that there's dozens of ways that you could set up these dynamic actions, and there's really no rules to it. And I have quite a few templates that use actions in different ways because each template's got its own specific needs. But by having these different templates with these different methods, it really helps you to learn as well different things you can do with actions and how you can apply those dynamically to your templates. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you're interested at all in this Photoshop template, please be sure to check it out on our website, and that is pixnub.com.